It's different. It's all alive. See the fabulous Little Egypt, who once danced for the Queen of England. Little Egypt, the shimmy dancer. Now, in all confidence, folks, for those of you who've never seen the female figure in delicious movement from head to toe, you can see it here for only 25 cents, $1/4 of a dollar at $2.50.
The representation of women in film has been a controversial topic for many years. Women have been misrepresented and objectified in cinema throughout history, and the male gaze has played a significant role in this phenomenon. To fully explore this issue, let's first define the concept of the male gaze, as developed in 1973 by Laura Mulvey, a British feminist film theorist. In her influential essay titled Visual Pleasure and Narrative Cinema, she explains how the camera lens, as well as the narrative structure, is often designed to cater to the heterosexual male viewer's desires, perpetuating harmful stereotypes and solely depicting women as sexual objects. Mulvey also argues that the male gaze is rooted in patriarchal power structures that position men as active subjects and women as passive objects. With that being said, it's no surprise that throughout history, women have been subjected to various harmful stereotypes in cinema. From sexualizing occupations like secretaries and nurses to having to rescue a damsel in distress, such tropes have had a negative impact on how women are perceived and treated in society. These cliches were also prevalent in many classical movies, such as one from the James Bond film franchise, which has long been criticized for its portrayal of women as sexual objects. To add on, 2 other tests were also created to call attention to gender inequality in fiction. In 1985, the Bechdel test first appeared in a comic by cartoonist Alison Bechdel, where 2 queer women were discussing movies. One then remarked that she will only see a movie if it meets a certain list of requirements, which involve having at least 2 women characters in it who talk to each other about something other than a man. Second, the sexy lamp test was created by Kelly Sue DeConnick, another comic book writer, who wrote a blog post in 2013 to highlight the issue of gender inequality in storytelling in film and other media. The test implied that if a female character in a story could be replaced by a sexy lamp without changing the sense or core of the plot, then the story is not giving women enough involvement or meaningful roles. It did start off as a satirical Tumblr post. However, DeConnick's take on measuring the representation of women in cinema puts an emphasis on the importance of female characters in a story, rather than just their presence in a scene, which is focused on in the Bechdel test. Today, both tests have become popular tools for analyzing and critiquing how women are represented in cinema, and serve as a reminder that female characters should be more than just objects of desire. All in all, the male gaze is a central idea in feminist film theory, which refers to the way films are structured around the heterosexual male perspective, with unrealistic portrayals of women as objects of desire to be consumed by the male viewer. It was also said to seek to analyze and critique the ways in which film perpetuates gender stereotypes and contributes to reinforcing a patriarchal society. In other words, the male gaze is seen as a means of controlling and limiting the representation of women in cinema. Rather than being portrayed as real multi-dimensional individuals, they are being presented, more often than not, as sexual objects. And as people become increasingly aware of the male gaze's impact on cinema, it is essential to look back at its history and understand how far we have come, or how much more work needs to be done to promote more inclusive and diverse representation of women on screen.